Hello beautiful people and welcome back to another MD Fish Tanks build video. Today I'm making something pretty smart for an extra special fish. So about a week ago I mentioned to Fish Shop Matt that I was after these Santa Maria Endler Guppies. They look so cool. Anyway, he's got them, but I don't have a tank for them. I need to make a tank so I can go and get them. And this tank up here is the one that I've got in mind. Next to the shrimp house, which has got a slight little bit of a haze going on at the moment, I've actually just treated the tank for planaria and it sort of hazes it and goes a bit weird for a while. But yeah, this is a 2-foot aquarium, so that's 60 centimeters across. Is it? I think yeah, of course it is, because the whole rack is 120, so the whole rack's 4 foot and it's halfway across. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, what I want to do in this one is do like a classic nature style aquarium. So like put the hardscape in first, a nice crisp, clean sort of sand foreground, and then loads of plants behind it all, that kind of thing. Nothing sort of earth shattering, but you know, it will look really smart and I'll show you how to do that. Now the first job is to get some hardscape pieces that actually fit in that tank and look the right proportions. That can sometimes be the most tricky part of the whole build, but if you get that bit right, you'll get the rest of it right. And we've obviously got a lot to choose from. Now in an instance where you've got lots to choose from, like I do, it's just a case of trial and error, but you might be in the shop, you see. So normally there's an area where you can have a go. If there's not, just try and find a flat surface on the floor, mark out roughly 60 centimeters and just start putting stuff in and angling. You can't just pick stuff up willy-nilly and expect it to work. And another key thing, you need to make sure that your hardscape is of a decent size, not small little bits. The worst thing you can do is have hardscape that's too small for the tank. You can't really go too big because if it comes out the top, it still looks good, doesn't it? As long as you've got planting room. So yeah, don't go too small. If anything, go on the larger side. Right, nice little selection there with all matching types of wood. Some of the bits are a little bit grubby. I just need to give them a quick brush up, and then yeah, especially this one. Look at the state of that. There's oh my goodness, yeah. Clean them up, and then we can start sort of arranging them. So I've managed to clean everything up as much as it needs to be honest. Let's start making some hardscape. Right, I fiddled around for quite a bit actually, and I think I've settled on this one. I quite like the flow of it. It's hard to tell on camera, but that sort of sweeps in one beautiful sort of connected line. It sweeps like an S. Don't know if you can see that. And what that's meaning is we've got this very distinct background area and foreground area, and it means I can just do a nice decorative sand in the foreground and then load up with like compost and everything we need in the background for those nice plants to grow. We'll get some nutri-base down, we'll get the compost, we'll get the root tabs, and we should get just as good growth then with the plants as we're getting in everything else. But first of all, I want to close up some of the holes with rocks, plus also a little bit more detail. It always looks a bit better then as well, and it gives us something to glue to, because otherwise all the wood will sink. No, that would be good, it will float. So I'm going to go with black lava rock on this scape, and that's purely because, oh, hang on, oh, I've just destroyed the whole thing. Yeah, I'm going to go black lava rock purely because I think it doesn't then take away anything from the fish that we're going to put in here. Although it's called black lava rock, though it's kind of grey. But with the fish that have got the bright orange and the black, that's the Santa Maria, that's what they look like, it's going to stand out really, really well. So I'm not going to go too heavy with it. I just want it dotted over in a few more areas, close this gap up a little bit to separate the background from the foreground, and that should be enough. Looking good. Like there's a very distinct border now between the front and the back. Can we see side on? Yeah, there we go. Look, there's a ton of room down that back area, but the front is very clearly divided, which can work really, really well in those nature style scapes. Now there is still some gaps underneath like there, so I'll use a little bit of like filter media, you know, the sponges. I've got some black stuff I can put in these gaps, or just tuck it just in behind, and then you won't even see it because we'll put crumpled up pieces in front of it and the sand will go up against it as well, plants and all that. Yeah, looking good so far. But now I'll use tissue paper and glue just to stick all this down so it's not going anywhere. Everything is now locked down, and I've done it in a way that it's all locked along the S path that I spoke about. I don't know if you can see what I'm talking about there. Anyway, this rock here that that's resting on can now come out the way because this piece of wood is glued to the rock behind it. Ta-da! There we go, much better lines. Well, maybe not from that angle, but here, look, we're gonna have a nice open foreground area with some sand, and it means I can create a tiny little island that's got some anubias and maybe some moss or something like that on it, so that it just sort of brings the eyes out a little bit. But next up, we need to close all those gaps. Like I said, we can just push in little bits of filter sponge, and that should close it all up, meaning that our sand doesn't go backwards and our soil and everything else doesn't come forwards. Okay, perfect. We're like almost sealed. There's some tiny little gaps, but that's fine because we're going to put down a sort of coarser gravel now in that back section. For me, that proper seals everything. A coarse layer, and then we'll put some nutrients on top, and then we'll put some sand on top of that, and that's what we plant into. Right, here's the coarse layer. It's literally just a mixture of everything. We've got sand in there, we've got gravel, we've got little bits of aqua soil as well, we've got coarser gravel. It's like all different gradings, but it works really good for just bumping up that little bit of height. And also, it tends to act as a good layer for beneficial bacteria to colonize as well. So like extra filter media, it's just not in the filter, it's in the substrate. And then next up, on top of that, we've got our Nutri-Base, of course. I love this stuff, it's working so well, if I can get it out without making a massive mess. And then, as always, API root tabs. I'm just gonna break them up and crumble them sort of all over that back area. Might put a little bit in the foreground as well, because if any plants want to creep, they can. And then it's just a case of capping all of that back section off with a sand. I'm going to be using the Mano-based black from Colombo. I've got loads in this bag, so that should be plenty. Okay, that is a really, really nice planting zone behind there now. I'm just wondering if now would be the time. Well, first of all, I'm going to put that decorative sand in the foreground, but I'm thinking, should I add some more sticks for detail, like some more fronds or prongs, is it called? And then some creeping forward. I don't know, let's have a little go. Because I've got like plenty of smaller sticks like this that I can add on that could add to it. But do we need that much height? You know, there's no point just doing things for the sake of it. I do feel like we need something going into this middle area, and this could be the right piece. There we go, I've added a few more pieces, and now I think we've got something that's a little bit more dynamic, a bit more explosive coming up, and it also gives us more to attach plants to as well, because everything was quite low down, and now I've got some higher points for some interesting plants, maybe some anubias or even Bucephalandria, some of the small plants that we can attach. Anyway, next up we need a nice decorative foreground. I'm looking for something that's quite vibrant, bright, and just adds light to that undersection that's really quite dark at the moment. Oh yes, that's looking fantastic so far. Now usually I have like quite a good layer in the front, but this one I want to keep it quite clean, but I do want details in those back areas, and I've got a coarser stone, like a coarser version of the sand that should look really good. Oh, that looks so, so good. I'm loving it. And now it's time to start the planting. First of all, always start with your biggest plants. I'm going to start, well, no, you don't have to, sorry, but it's just what I do. If do whatever you want, but I always start with epiphytes, so stuff that sticks in the cracks and onto the wood. And I'm going to start with the biggest pieces, which is going to be, I'm dawdling here because I don't know, I can't remember the name of it. What's the name of it? I should know this, it's a very common plant. Oh, Java fern. Why couldn't I remember Java fern? Anyway, a nice big Java fern focal point is going to be mainly around this area, with another one on this side as well, but I want a big piece there. Oh, just look at that. Look at it. Look, just 2 ferns. You could stop there, couldn't you? But we're not going to, because we don't do that here. We go crazy with plants. Now, you see what I was trying to do there? So we've got a bigger portion here and a smaller portion here, which gives you a better sense of perspective. This side's closer, that side's a little bit back. I'm going to plant in the middle, but I'm going to keep everything in the middle quite low down, like maybe some Liliopsis brasiliensis or some hairgrass or something like that. And the stems can be either side. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a filter in this or not yet. I might not. I might just put a tiny little one in the side, just behind all of this, just to pump a little bit of water around. I don't think there'll be any harm in that. It's still incredibly low tech, because obviously it would just be a cheap internal and like a really, really cheap light. I don't know yet. I'll keep going and see how I feel. To be honest, the ferns are looking a little bit thirsty, so let's just give them a little mist down, and then we don't have to rush all the next process. There you go, my little friends, drink. That was weird, sorry. Right, the first thing I want is this pretty little bit of Anubias and Bus. So just sit in that area, about there. I'll put some more scatter gravel around it as well, but that looks brilliant, yes. And then as always now, I'm just going to frame the bottom edges of a lot of these sort of, I don't know how to describe them. I can see in my eye where the edges are, where the edge of the hardscape meets the background. It's like along there, it's along there, just a little bit over the back edge of this piece of wood, some along this bit as well, and all in here. I'm going to frame it with pieces of Anubias and Bucephalandra. It just works so well when you do that. If I had some Bulbitis, I'd probably put a little clump there, but I've run out, so can't do that right now. Oh, I could take some, couldn't I, from another tank? We'll see, we'll see. Oh, we are looking so smart. And basically, all these little pieces that you can see that I added there, quite a few of them were on rocks. Or little stones, and all of them are ones that I've grown myself over the years in different projects. When a project finished, I just put it into a storage tank or reuse it in another tank. All of these were in storage tanks because obviously I'm just recently moved from another studio and they've all just been sat, waiting, ready to go. It's so good to be able to use them. I've still got loads more, but they're larger scale, so I thought this stuff would work really well in this tank because, you know, this Anubias petite, Anubias bonsai, really tiny down here, and again, it's all petite. The larger variety is way too big for this scape, I'd say. Even the Java fern there is narrow leaf, so it's got that skinny look to it. It just suits the scale. Oh, I managed to find a piece of Bulbitis as well that was in those storage tanks. So yeah, looking so good so far. Again, you could stop here, but why would I? When I've got all that space at the back. Yeah, let me come round, look. Ow, I just tripped over everything. So much room for planting. But as always, for background stem plants, I always like to just fill the tank up with water and then I can put them in afterwards, see how they're sitting. It just looks way better in my opinion. Oh, that is looking sick. And mere mortals would just stop there, you know, that's enough. But we will not be doing that. We will be going around the room, looking at all my other tanks that need anything green and trimming. I'm taking it out and putting it in here. I just want a little channel in the middle that's free with short Liliopsis brasiliensis, but the rest, just chuck it in. Just chuck it in. And you know what is so cool as well is that you would have thought after doing this, the amount of times that I've done it now, like I must have made a good 150 to 200 tanks in the last 3 or 4 years. But every single time I get to this point, and even before this point, I'm loving it. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. It's a real sense of excitement. I did fear that when I took this over as my job, you know, doing YouTube and creating these tanks, that I would lose that sort of fun of it and have it more like, oh, I'm pleased with that because I think it will do well or whatever, and I think others will be pleased with it. But it's not like that at all. It's still just as fun for me as it was the first day I started creating. Like for me, this looks really, really good and I'm really happy with it. I mean, every artist wants good recognition from like other people looking at their work as well. Don't get me wrong, but if you like it, then that's all that really matters, to be honest, isn't it? And if others do as well, added bonus. Anyway, it is now harvest time. We've got some nice crypts at the back there. I think that's Spiralis and Balance, one or the other anyway. The new no filter Endler tank here that we set up has already got some plants at the back that grown to the top. I think that's Ludwigia palustrous green, so that'll be quite nice. Obviously we won't be using any of the plants in this tank, but they do look fantastic. I will be using them in another setup quite soon though, to be honest. Stay tuned for that. This is the brand new tank I've set up with a ton of plants from Aquaflow. I basically just ordered everything that's going to grow nicely and put it all in one tank. And it is growing in so well as well. Not ready for any trimming yet though. We have of course got the rainbow fish tank, which has currently got a bit of an algae problem, so I'm not sure about taking the plants. Although I'm clearing the algae. If you look, if these guys give us a chance, see that on the boost there? It's like a hair algae or maybe a BBA, or I don't think it's BPA, I think it's more like staghorn. Anyway, look at you, wow. Let's just take a second to appreciate some of these fish, because I know how much you guys obviously love fish. That's why you're here, as well as all the environments that I create as well. Where's the blue, where's the turquoise? There, look out, whoa, so vibrant, so nice. I think the blues, the turquoise are my favorite, to be honest. It used to be the Bozeman's or the Bozeman's. I'm loving the turquoise nowadays. Anyway, this tank's being treated, and you can see that the staghorn has got like a, not so much their hand, let me come around, hopefully they won't follow me. So yeah, there's like a pinky hue to it. That basically means it's dead and it's all coming off. I did have a Siamese algae in this tank, but it's way too big, so I took it out. So I'm gonna get a couple more of the little ones. The one that I had in here was like 4 years old. It was one of my very first fish that I got with one of my bristlenose plecos before, and then I wanna get a few more that's a bit more appropriate for this tank. But yeah, to be fair, there's no staghorn algae on any of the actual stem plants, because obviously they grow too fast. So the staghorn just grows on stuff that's not really moving, like these sticks. Nothing in your tank is suitable, Timmy, is it? Well, I mean, you've destroyed it, basically. That's what turtles do anyway, so not a problem. But yeah, we've got moss, but yeah, that's all good. So the Dumbo betta here, the only thing that's really green and usable in this tank would be the duckweed, and no thank you, we're keeping that out. I'm gonna harvest some of that for the goldfish to eat in a bit. We've got some Monte Carlo down the bottom, but obviously, it's not really what we're looking for. And that brings us over to this absolute unit. Now, to be honest, I think this is gonna be the tank that I'm gonna use the most of. We've got loads of Hygrophila polysperma in the background there. We've got Limnophila of different varieties. We've got loads of just green Rotala as well. We've got the Hydrocotyle Japan is also spreading nicely, so we can take a few sprigs of that. Yeah, there's absolutely loads to choose from for this tank. I'm just gonna make it up as I go, to be honest. It doesn't have to be anything specific, as long as it's green and vibrant. So I've collected up some really nice plants here. We've got, just like I said, most of it's Hygrophila polysperma, but we've got some nice Crypt spiralis here. And that's gonna go somewhere near the center, but not dead in the center. Actually, I might put that in the center, be that shallow plant we're talking about, instead of the Liliopsis brasiliensis. This is Crypt balansae, and it'll actually, or balansae, one or the other, and it'll grow really tall and across the tank. You have to keep on top of it, because it does grow pretty quickly. Just get these in now. I can either plant them like this, or I can put them in rings, and then just plonk them on the surface and let the roots just grow in. But some of these are quite long, so I'll be able to just plant them straight in, to be honest. And that is how you plant a tank, ladies and gentlemen. You buy or propagate as many plants as you can. I've saved a ton of money there just by, using plants that are growing in other tanks, and then you just fill it out. To be fair, you guys don't need to do this, do you? I'm making a show, if you like, an entertainment video, and I like it to look sort of finished. Like by the end of the video, by the time I put the fish in, I like it to look like an environment that they could have been in for a long time. So that's why I go for that look. You don't have to. You could have way less than what I've got here, let it grow in over time, which to be honest, for a lot of you, will be half the fun of it. I remember when I had one tank, I'd be coming down every day and be like, oh, it still hasn't carpeted or it hasn't covered the whole lot. Like, it's been a week. Just be patient. I'm terrible though, I can't be patient, which is why I made sure I had loads of tanks to pick from, to take all these little clippings from. I was even doing this back in my house when I didn't have a studio or anything. I had about 3 or 4 tanks on the go, just so I could get like clippings to restart new ones. So it is now the next day, and the tank has got a little bit of a weird haze to it, but like it's separated, it's only at the bottom. Now I think it's because there's like silicates and dust and everything coming off of the sand, which is more dense, so it's sitting lower. But you can see like there's literally a definite line there of where we've got this weird haze, and then it's still a little bit misty above it, but nowhere near as much. So I'm gonna do a quick water change on that. Then I'm gonna go to the shop, we're gonna get the fish, and I've decided to put a little tiny filter in it, the smallest internal filter I can buy, the cheapest. So it's like proper budget, proper low tech, and just something that you guys can easily replicate on a really low budget, but something beautiful as well. I say really low budget, I've got a lot of plants in here, but like I said, you don't have to start with this many, it can grow into something like this. There we go, fully filled up again and completely clear. Now you're probably thinking, how is there no bubbles and like, why does it look so crystal clear? Well, this that's filling it up is going to my water butt. So there we go, we've got a reel here and we've got a water butt that I normally have filled right up with water, but I've just used most of it in other setups, and this one there's a plug there that plugs into a water pump inside. Water pump, are you there? There's the water pump. So yeah, the water just sits in there, gas is off, and it gets to room temperature, which is heated enough so that it's the right temperature for the fish, which means the water's perfect and the fish can go straight in. Once they're in, we can then add some beneficial bacteria as well. But let's go get the fish. And a filter as well. I've left the space. Yeah, you can see there, look, I've left a little gap so we can put a tiny little filter in there, just enough to push some water around, and that should be perfect. Hello, Matthew.
Hello. Am I on?
I think you're on. Am I on?
Yeah,
yes,
on.
I'm on. We do this every time. Why are we here today? Hang on.
Why is yours red and mine's blue?
I don't know. Because, oh, sorry, that's too bright. Turn that off.
Done my hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Matt's had his hair. No, I'm not even talking about it because I get in trouble. Plus, I've got no hair.
Yeah, it's just jealousy, it's all it is.
Right, you've informed me. You've informed me of some absolutely amazing endlers that I've wanted for ages.
Yes.
I didn't think you had them, and then you sent me a picture, said we've got them.
Yep. So, we have got...
Can we just take a second just to say, wow, look at this.
Cool, isn't it?
So cool. If you want your betters, they need to come here, don't they?
Well, we need a few more in stock first, and then we'll be all right. But
they were full, wasn't it?
yeah. Yeah, it was.
When's more coming?
Next week, yeah.
Ooh.
Every week pretty much now.
Every week, okay.
That's the thing now, we can put some on the system and some over here, so it just means we've got more space.
I think I want this one, Matt, for my setup.
He's gorgeous, isn't he? That solid blue, all the way up over the head as well.
It's wicked. But I'm not here for that.
No,
I'm here
distracted.
for the Santa Marias.
Yeah.
Why are they called that?
Probably area location, I expect. It will be some form of wild style area location, I expect. I've not actually looked into it now you say that. A lot of it is obviously their location or their colour form. So Santa Maria might be something to do with the orange and black. It might be something to do with the area.
What's Santarem?
Santarem is Brazilian. Brazil. Santarem is the discus
South
coloration.
America.
South America. Let's go with South America. It's a Saturday and you've come in on a Saturday.
I am so sorry.
Yeah, I know, terrible. But yeah, so it's probably just either coloration or it's an area location. I'd have to look at them to see. But they are as hardy as a normal Endler. Yeah. They've been breeding on the system really well.
Also, yeah, all the females look pregnant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
So they look great. Just with that solid orange and black, they look amazing.
So I've got a 60 centimetre, 2 foot tank by like 1 foot by 1 foot.
Yeah.
I would like to have about 3 males if I can.
Yeah.
And then a good selection of the females.
Nice.
I would want more than that, but I don't want the internet to explode.
And you'll get babies as well.
And we're going to get a load of babies out of that because all of the, well, as far as I can see, every single female is with child.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's babies down in this tank, so we had to separate them out. On the surface in this tank, these are all so you got me saying it now, Santa Maria babies.
From the last batch?
From them, yeah. Look.
Oh, bless.
Yeah. So
no coloration at that point?
Not yet, no.
No, of course not.
But yeah, they were, they breed quite well.
Okay, yeah, so what do you reckon? 3 males?
Yep.
Is 4 females enough? It's heavily planted, the tank.
Probably go more.
Okay.
Just safer then, isn't it? So
All right.
it gives them a little bit of space and
I'll get more numbers, to be fair, for the babies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, a whole tank of them would look so good, wouldn't
they do look amazing. Yeah.
Okay, bag them up. So we've got our fish. I also got some algae eaters as well. Well, not algae eaters, what am I talking about? I've got a Mano shrimp, and I've also got the filter here. So let's get that fitted, get some water pushed around, then we can put our fish in. Yeah, it's literally this really budget. It costs like £15, which is about $20, something like that. Yep, that's it. This is all the bits for the top. Oh, look at the tiny little spray bar. It's a diddy little thing, isn't it? But it's going to do the job perfectly. Right, we can now just put the endlers into a temperature acclimate. It's going to be pretty much there anyway because it's quite warm in the UK at the moment. Spring has sprung. But just give it 20 minutes or so. And I'll turn the light out just so they can chill out. Where's the thingy? There it is. Yay, it is time for fish and shrimp. Here are the Amano shrimp first. In you go, we've got 8 there. Really, really good size as well. They're like adults. There's a pregnant one as well. And the pregnant one will actually lay babies, but they'll be so small that you probably won't see them, and also they won't survive because the fish will pick them off, so it'll be like a natural food source as well. And then up next, we've got our specialist Endler Guppies. Look at that, they've already got good colour on them. So cool. And not to forget, now is the time for the beneficial bacteria. I'm using API's Quick Start. It's not sponsored or anything, but it's what I always used. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a bit for luck. And new plants freshly rooted, so I'm gonna add in a fertilizer. Oh, I dropped the lid. Fertilizer as well. 1 capful in this one should be plenty. Job done for now. So what you're seeing now is 24 hours since the fish was first put in. The colours on the Santa Marias are really, really popping out, the males. So when we first put them in, the black part actually went quite opaque, and the orange was still showing, but nowhere near as vibrant as it is now. Look at that, it looks so good, doesn't it? And what I'm really pleased with here is we've been able to create an environment for a really, really low budget for an awesome set of fish. For me personally, I really, really like this style and look of tank. An incredibly simple design using basic plants as well. So none of the plants in this system require CO2 or sort of high energy, expensive lighting, that sort of thing. They're all just very simple plants that can thrive in low light. They do really well in high light as well, but you know, they're still going to look this good in weeks and weeks to come. In fact, they're going to look even better because those background plants will start growing in even more. And what we'll find is that plants start growing all out the top of the tank as well. I mean, that one already is starting to. But I wanted these endlers for quite a while now. I'm so pleased that I've finally been able to add them to my collection. And what's even more exciting is that we've got all those females just absolutely full of babies ready to give birth at any time. And with the amount of females we've got in here, which is 5 and 3 males, we should be able to get a huge amount of babies surviving and growing up into adulthood.